Hey, community, welcome to the KidzMatter Podcast. This is Ryan Frank. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for choosing to spend a few minutes with me. Instead of the million other videos, I don't know how many videos, or millions of other videos on YouTube. If you're listening, whether you're on your commute, exercising, whatever you're doing, thank you so much for your attention as well. Truly is a gift. We love the KidzMatter Podcast. We love what God is doing in this ministry as we connect you to each other and with great ministry resources and encouragement. We believe in what you are doing as children's ministry leaders. In fact, we believe that you are doing some of the most important work on the face of the earth. Speaking of work, today we're going to be talking about the working genius. Now, our team at KidzMatter HQ just went through the whole Working Genius assessment, and we spent about, 5 or 6 weeks on this in our team meetings, and we loved it. It was really eye-opening to each one of us to discover the way we work best and the way our teammates work best, the things that we do well in, and the things that frustrate us. And one of our dear friends in ministry, Cindy Bultema, is coming to the KidzMatter Conference. Hope to see you there. And she is leading a breakout on this very topic of the working genius. And so this is based upon a book written by Patrick Lencioni. She'll be talking about that once we get into the podcast. I'm super excited. I think you're going to find a lot of value from today's conversation and from Cindy's breakout at the KidzMatter Conference. We have a sponsor for today's podcast. If you're looking to make a curriculum change, say goodbye to kids finding their identity in the world, say hi to Hi-Fi. Say hi to Hi-Fi. Hi-Fi is a 100% digitally delivered curriculum that teaches 12 biblical truths to help preschoolers, kids, and students understand their identity in Christ. Every session is built on our outside-in relational philosophy. Going to help kids move from feeling like they're on the outside to feeling like they are welcome and part of the group. Hi-Fi uses high-quality media and games to foster an atmosphere of learning and belonging, and you can try a 14-day trial absolutely free. Check it out at myhifi.com. That's MYHYFI, myhifi.com today. Now, friend Cindy Bultema has been a friend of our family and our ministry for several years. She was the executive director of Jim's Girls Club. She is a frequent speaker every year at the KidzMatter Conference. She's been on the main stage. She leads breakouts. We do a lot of online events together. She is passionate about leadership, passionate about coming alongside of kidmin leaders like yourself. Can't wait to jump into today's discussion around working genius. You're going to love it. Without any further ado, here is my conversation with Cindy Bultema.
What's up, Cindy? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Ryan. It's great to be here.
Hey, well, thank you for being with us. Before we pushed record, you and I were just saying this is really like having a coffee chat with a couple of friends. Cindy, I've known you since high school, but we really haven't known each other that long, have we? I mean, it's just been
4 or 5 years. It must be
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Cindy, take a minute and tell us about yourself, your ministry journey, your family. I don't want to assume that everybody knows who you are. So, and even for those who have maybe heard you speak or have met you before, just kind of take us on the journey of your life and ministry. And can you do it all in 60 seconds? I don't know. Do your best.
My best bet. All right. So I'm Cindy Bultema. I am a speaker, an author, a leadership consultant. I think most are surprised to hear that I didn't grow up with a foundation of faith. In fact, I lived very far from Jesus for the first 26 years of my life, and Jesus rescued me from a pit of drug and alcohol addiction. And when I came to know Christ, I just remember thinking, like, how come no one ever told me? So became passionate about sharing Jesus anywhere, any way that I could. So that's what I've been doing for 25 years now. I've been in ministry in different leadership ways. I perhaps have met somebody at KidzMatter as the executive director of GEMS for the past 7 years. I was leading GEMS, which ministry I still love. GEMS stands for Girls Everywhere Meeting the Savior, and was so grateful to be a part of that amazing organization, and just kind of retired from that role a few months ago. And so I'm excited now to be able to help equip and encourage other leaders. And you mentioned my family. I'm married to John. Today actually is our anniversary, 24.
Happy anniversary. Yeah.
Thank you. And we have 4 kids, ages 20 to 30. So we're in that unique stage of having almost adult children and the empty nest life. So, but things are good. God is really faithful.
This, we could have done this podcast on a different day. We didn't have to record on your anniversary.
Well, you know what? He's at work and we celebrated this weekend, so it's all good.
So it's all good. All right. Well, Cindy, you are a great friend to Beth and I and our family, and a good friend to our ministry. We're excited to have you back at the KidzMatter Conference. As we record this, we're 50 days out, which is nuts. By the time this releases, we're about a week ahead. We'll be 40, 45 days, 40, 43 days away from the conference. So if you've never met Cindy, she's going to be at the conference. She's teaching, and then she made the mistake of telling Beth and I, hey, if you need anything else, just let me know. And it took us, about 2.5 hours to be like, okay, well, would you do this, and this? And you said yes. So
yes,
you're going to be busy at the conference. But if you've never met Cindy or heard her speak, I encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to spend some time with Cindy. If you need somebody to pray with, somebody to talk to, she just has so much life experience and ministry experience. What do you look forward to? I know you travel and you get to a lot of events, but what's one thing that you find special about the KidzMatter Conference?
It's one of my favorites. It's a ministry highlight every year. It's like a big family reunion, which makes sense because we all have the same daddy. But it's like you're among friends, and just the joy, and we're all on the same team. It doesn't feel like competition. It all feels like linking arms for the common purpose of helping this generation know Jesus. And you do a lot of fun things too, but that's why I said, however I can serve. I'm coming with a servant's towel on. And so excited to lead 3 different workshops, 2 leadership focused, one on sharing the gospel with Generation Alpha. I think we're going to do something about leading leaders walking through change and transition, which I've done numerous times. And however I can help. So, and like you said, the prayer part, I just have been to conferences in the past where I felt really alone, and none of us are alone in ministry. We need each other. So I just like 100%. To be able to encourage people however I can. So can't wait.
Can't wait. Well, today we can't wait to see you, Cindy. Thank you. Today we're talking about working genius. Now, 2 things that really motivated picking this topic when I knew we were going to do a podcast. One is, I know you're going to be teaching on this at the KidzMatter Conference. So I want this to kind of be a teaser for those of you coming to the conference to jump into Cindy's breakout and go deeper with her on this. Also because a friend of mine, Corey Jones, probably 12 months ago, he said, Ryan, have you done the Working Genius? You ought to do it. And I've always been, I don't mind personality assessments, but they've never really fired me up, lit me up. I have done the Enneagram, but I don't remember what my numbers are. I've done all of these, but he said, trust me, Ryan, this one, you need to do it, because he said, I can see firsthand how it's impacted our staff at the church and how we work together. So Beth and I did the Working Genius, read the book, did the test, the assessment ourselves. We're like, wow, this is incredible. We need to do this as a team. Had our ministry team do it, and are really trying to work it into the DNA of how we work and connect. And so we've witnessed firsthand the power of this. I know you have as well. You have been certified by Patrick Lencioni's team, and you're a guru expert in this topic. And so I want to talk about it together because it is a little bit different than your typical normal personality assessment. But first, before we jump into it, Cindy, why don't you take a minute and just talk to us about what is Working Genius for somebody who's never heard of it before today, or maybe they've heard of it, but they really don't know what it is. Talk to us about the book, the tool, and then maybe we'll jump into what are the working geniuses themselves?
Sure. I have to say that I was like you, Ryan, where at
Mhm.
first I actually was at a conference where Pat was speaking and he was talking about, the five dysfunctions of the team and some of those books that we all know and love. And
Yeah.
when he started talking about this working genius, I almost kind of started to like let my mind wander about what's for lunch because I thought,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, do we need another assessment?
Yeah.
But then we did it as a team. And I realized right away that this assessment, not only does it help us individually, but it helps us figure out how we fit into a team structure. So I agree with you 200%.
Yes.
And so we've never heard of the working genius. It is an assessment. And the geniuses are sort of those God given strength or talents that have been entrusted to you. Pat and his team said that there are 6 geniuses. We each have 2. There's 2 areas where we're competent, and then there's 2 areas of frustration. But
Mhm.
it's more than just our strength. It's a little bit different than strength finders because it really gives window or insight into what brings us joy, energy, and fulfillment. And that can really make a difference. I experienced it firsthand, even in the leadership role that I was in, that everything was kind of like coming to me to cross that final finish line, and I was getting burnout and frustrated. And I loved the work that I was doing, but I didn't love the assignments that had been entrusted to me. So when
Mhm.
we sat down with it as a team with a consultant, understood how we each had these geniuses, it changed everything for us. So such an important tool.
Yeah. So let's dig into what are these 6 working geniuses, and then maybe you could share what I'd love to hear what yours are. Maybe I can share what mine are, and maybe a few stories around that.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, so there are 6 geniuses. And if we think about, let's say that there's a project that we're working on, we'll kind of
Mhm.
start at like 50,000 feet and work down. So the first genius is the genius of wonder. So that's the person that asks a lot of questions. Like, I wonder what we should do. I wonder how we could do this differently. They're asking a lot of questions. And the sad part is, they may have been like this for a long time, and people may have said, would you stop asking so many questions?
Yeah.
But wondering is very important part of the process. In fact, as I go through these 6, I'll share that we'll be sharing the word widget. Not that that is meaningful for the geniuses,
Yeah.
but it helps keep things in order. So you have wonder. Next, you have invention. That's that person who loves to come up with new ideas. They get up in the morning and they think, what problem can I solve? I've got ideas. And they usually have creative, tons of energy. So you have wonder, you have invention, then you have discernment. And that's that person with maybe like a gut instinct, and maybe somebody with a lot of ideas like me. They go to that discerner, and the discerner right away can say, yep, good idea, bad idea, this is how we might want to tweak that idea. So that's kind of like that gut instinct or intuition. The
Mhm.
next G, that's the galvanizer. That's the person who likes to gather the troops, rally everyone together, going towards a common purpose or mission. Next is enablement. Now, as a former addict, enablement sometimes get a bad rap, but this is a really good gift to have. That's the helper, someone that they receive great joy and fulfillment by helping the ideas come to fruition, getting things moving forward. And then T, that tenacity. That's that person that makes the list and they want to make sure everything is crossed off. They want to see that project, that task get across the finish line.
Hey, it's Ryan jumping in with a question, and we'll be right back to our interview. Why do some kids misbehave in kids ministry? Are they just trying to seek attention? There may be some painful reasons behind their actions. So instead of asking, what's wrong with you? Try this. What happened to you? Tell me your story. In Caring for Kids from Hard Places, How to Help Children and Teens with a Traumatic Past, Janie and David Schooler help foster parents, adoptive parents, educators, and student ministry staff care for kids with behavioral challenges. You'll get insights to help you understand what they share about their childhood, ways to create a trauma-informed space, how to facilitate healing, and tips for creating a sensory smart classroom. You can buy Caring for Kids from Hard Places at your favorite bookstore, or you can go to tyndale.life/caring. That is tyndale.life/caring. And you can buy the book and save 20%. How many of you like to save money? I know I do. That's tyndale.life/caring. Go check out the book, Caring for Kids from hard places.
Ryan, a funny story about my husband, John. He has both E and T. And it's one of the reasons he loves to do our laundry at home, because these are things that bring us joy and energy fulfillment at the workplace and at home. So it brings him great joy to do the laundry, fold the laundry, and put the laundry away, which is a real blessing to me and my family. But I love I love seeing that ET in action. So that's a really quick summary. Obviously, you can read the book and listen to a podcast from Pat, but that's like a quick summary.
All right. So if you want to learn more about this, I would really encourage you to take Cindy's word for it, my word for it, get the book. By the way, one nice thing about Lencioni books, they're an easy read or listen because of how he writes them in like novel format. In fact, I listened to the book, Cindy, on the way to a volleyball tournament out of state for London, a few hours, had it listened to, and then we did the assessment, and then discovered there was a whole podcast with all these other with all these episodes to kind of help you. But we did it as a team at KidzMatter, and it was really eye-opening, not only for each of us to discover what our own strengths and weaknesses and competencies were, but then we whiteboarded, what is everybody's strengths? Where are your weaknesses? Where are your competencies? And one interesting thing that we found out of the 12 of us that took this assessment was we have one galvanizer on our team, one galvanizer. And, she's all the time, everybody, we're always needing her to help figure stuff out. And so for us, it was a little eye-opening, like, okay, the next time we hire somebody, we need to make sure we hire somebody that's a galvanizer, because we are weak. We're strong in the enablement part. We are weak in galvanizing. And sometimes you don't know things like that until you actually whiteboard it. I'd also say, Cindy, that it not only helps you at work, but I know you mentioned you and your husband and your working genius, but Beth and I, the same thing. Like, we realized that, boy, you know what? One of her working geniuses, she is wonder and invention. And I'm invention tenacity. So that can create some tension in our relationship, that she's always wondering things, always asking questions, always thinking through, why should we do this? What are the pros and cons of doing this? Is there a better way to do this? And I'll get frustrated being like, I just want to do it and get it done. And when you understand your working geniuses, it can even help the way that you relate to your spouse or your kids, for that matter. Have you found that to be true at home and within a team?
Yes, 100%. My husband, John, and I, we went away this weekend and we listened to some podcasts and we were talking about it, and he's a big fan of the assessment. And so it's really fun to just explore, how do we work well together? Where might be those areas of frustration? Pat even talks about how it's impacted and strengthened his marriage as well. Yeah. And what you're talking about for the team, that's one of my favorite things to do, is to come alongside a team and put together this team map so they can see where are their gaps and how can they solve that problem. It doesn't always have to mean you hire somebody. Sometimes that works, but sometimes just borrowing people from other departments or inviting new people to meetings. Sometimes I think we get stuck on the job description. Well, this person is a part-time AA. Why would we invite them into this meeting? But if they have the genius of wonder, why would you not? Because they're going to help ask the question so that you're solving the right problem. So it's been eye-opening, individually, in families, and for teams. Yeah. Just love it.
Will you talk to the children's pastor, the KidMin leader that's listening or watching the podcast right now? And what would this look like practically for them? Is this something that you would say, hey, run all of your volunteers through it? Would it be your core team? How do they take it? Talk about maybe a few, we've hit some of the benefits, but if there are any additional benefits that would come to mind as far as a children's ministry leader at a team or at a church with his or her team, as it relates to the working genius.
Yes. First of all, I would want to say to the children's leader, thank you and bless you for what you do. Like, we need you. So we want you to be filled with joy and passion and fresh energy. So I would encourage you to figure out what your geniuses are. Take the assessment. It's like 10, 15 minutes most. Read the book or listen to a podcast. I know your days are full, but figure out, because I believe the best leader is a self-aware leader. And so
Mhm.
figure out what your geniuses are and then look at your areas of frustration and just explore it. I think you're going to love it. And so then maybe invite in your smaller leadership team. Maybe that's some of your key volunteers. Maybe you want to even bring it to the senior pastor and look at, is there a way that the leadership of the church can use it? And I would encourage you to bring someone else in, do the team map. I think it will revolutionize everything. It could change the way that you do Sunday or Wednesday ministry, it can change the way that you do meetings. I've seen so many teams, their meetings have been strengthened when they understand everyone's genius and how it impacts meetings. So for example, Ryan, I'm ING. So I'm always wanting to be at like 40,000, 30,000 feet with
Mhm.
ideas. I used to drive my GEMS team crazy because they're ready to land that plane. Even thinking
Yeah.
about KidzMatter, I would be like, what should we put on the screen? What should we put in the giveaway bags? What should we
Yep.
do? And they're like, it's next week, Cindy. Like, we just need to print stuff. And I'm like,
Yep.
well, I have a new idea. And so when you understand when your genius is needed and when it's time to lean on the geniuses of others, it can really help everyone row together. So my encouragement would be to that leader, figure out what your geniuses are, and are you operating in your geniuses right now? And then start to roll it out from a few and then bigger and bigger. I think that it's going to change everything.
I love it. So what would you say before we go to our final two questions, Cindy? Somebody who's like, I'm really listening or watching, they're like, I'm intrigued by this. I want to do more. Would you say start by reading or listening to the book? Would you say take the assessment first and foremost? What would you say are just a few practical next steps for somebody who really wants to dig into this?
Yeah, I'd say take the assessment. You can go to workinggenius.com, and with the assessment, they're going to give you a nice printout that talks about a lot of the information that you'd find in the book. You can listen to the Working Genius podcast that Pat and his team have for free. So
Yeah.
when you're driving to and from church, you can listen to that. And then I'd say come to my breakout this fall at KidzMatter 24. And I would love to come alongside of you. Let's grab a cup of coffee or a day that I'm not leading a workshop and bring your assessment. And I'd love to sit with you and kind of debrief it with you. And if there's any ways that I can serve you, I'd love to have a quick cup of coffee with you there and have a conversation.
I love it. Thank you, Cindy. Cindy, I always loved in the podcast by asking two questions. First of all, what's your favorite Bible story and what makes it your favorite?
Yeah, that's so tricky. It's like the favorite Bible verse, and it can change based on the
It
season.
does. I agree.
But I think it's Lydia and her story in Acts 16.
Mm.
I was able to go and sit there with that purple cloth, although it's not really that purple, and just to think of the impact of woman, one woman who changed her community and even then the world.
Mm.
And so, I'm passionate about women growing strong and secure and confident in Christ. And so when I think about the impact and the influence that Lydia had, I always go back to Acts 16. So I think that's my final answer today.
I love it. And then final question of the day. What is something big that Cindy's working on right now?
That is such a fitting question because
Yep.
it's kind of a little bit of a secret, but this
Ooh,
fall, I'm going to be rolling out a leadership consulting firm actually called Big for the Bultema Impact Group. So want to take
how
my
fun.
45 years of experience and come alongside other leaders and help them dream big and experience maximum kingdom impact. So excited to share some of the leadership principles I've learned over the past couple decades and remind leaders they're not alone. So
I love
really big,
that.
and it'll be coming out later this fall.
That is really cool. Are you going to focus on like pastors and ministry leaders or more like nonprofit leaders or a mix of both?
Oh, a mix of both. My background includes being a children's director at a mega church
Yeah.
for many years, as well as my nonprofit leadership. So
Yeah.
however God leads, wherever there's a leader that needs encouragement and equipping and just a fresh empowerment, I hope that the Lord would connect me there.
Well, you're such a great coach. And yeah, God has really given you a lot of wisdom when it comes to leadership and organizational leadership. So I know that you'll do well with that. So if you're not connected with Cindy, stay connected with her on social media. Meet her at the KidzMatter Conference. Cindy, thank you so much for your time today and for spending your anniversary with me to record a KidzMatter podcast. Please tell John I said thank you as well. I know he's at work, but give John my love and can't wait to see you in just a few short weeks.
Thank you for all that you and your family do on behalf of the kingdom. You're making a real difference, and it's a joy to serve together.
Well, thank you, Cindy. Talk to y'all next time.
All right.